There's a kind of illness no doctor has a diagnosis for. Every test comes back normal. The blood work is fine. The job is fine. The bank account survives the month. And yet at 3 a.m, a quiet voice keeps asking, "Is this it?" No scan can see this condition. No prescription pad has a name for it. But 2,500 years ago, one man made this exact illness his entire practice, and today we're going to read his case notes. Last lesson we told his story. A prince, shaken awake by old age, sickness and death, who walked out, tried the extremes, and woke up the Buddha. Today we unfold his prescription. It's called the Four Noble Truths. Tens of thousands of scrolls of Buddhist teaching exist, in a dozen languages, and every last one of them grows out of these 4 lines. Here's where you're standing on the map. Region 1, a person is behind you. You're now at the gate of Region 2, a prescription. Walk through it today, and you'll be holding the skeleton of the entire course. The 3 great texts that come after this are, honestly, just 3 different ways of taking the same medicine. House rules. We open with 3 quick questions to see how much received wisdom you've carried in with you. All 3 are about one word, suffering. It's the second most misunderstood word in all of Buddhism. The reigning champion. We meet next lesson. Question 1. Buddhism famously says, life is suffering. So Buddhism is a pessimistic philosophy. It wants you to expect less, care less, and gaze wearily out of windows. 3, 2, 1. No. When a doctor tells you something is wrong, you don't call her a pessimist, you call her accurate. The Buddha's actual position is condition confirmed and treatable. That word treatable is the single most optimistic line on the whole chart. Pessimists don't write prescriptions. In fact, Buddhism stands exactly between pessimism and forced positivity. Just think positive, it'll all work out. That's lying to yourself. Life is hopeless anyway. That's giving up. The Buddha declines both. He says, the problem is real, and there is something you can do about it. Holding those 2 thoughts at once, without dropping either, that's not gloom. That's maturity. Question 2. That word suffering in the Four Noble Truths, does it just mean pain, heartbreak, bankruptcy, a bad diagnosis, the obviously terrible stuff? 3, 2, 1. Not quite. The original word is dukkha, and it covers far more ground. It includes, I got it, and it wasn't enough, and it's lovely, but it won't stay. Think of a chair built half an inch too short. Nothing is broken. You just never quite settle. You were delighted with your new phone the night you bought it. 3 weeks later? That little, what now? That's the suffering the Buddha means. Let's go 1 layer into that not enough. You get the promotion, and within 3 months, it's just the new baseline. You finally buy the thing you'd been circling for a year, and by the time you're home, the feeling has left the building. It isn't that these things are bad, it's that satisfaction, as shipped from the factory, leaks. This feeling you live through every single day, that nobody ever bothered to name for you, that is dukkha. Question 3. So the Buddha's cure is to delete every desire you have until you're a serene, feelingless pebble. 3, 2, 1. Also no. The Buddha ate meals, slept, and cared deeply about people. The problem was never that there's a fire. It's the hand gripping the fire and refusing to let go. The prescription targets that white-knuckled grip. Remember the bedtime experiment from last lesson, noticing what your hand is clenched around? You were already learning to see it. So, the end of suffering does not mean the end of feelings or goals or love. You can still chase, still care, still cry your eyes out at films about dogs. The difference is, are you holding it, or is it holding you? The same glass of water resting open on your palm, or clutched so hard your hand cramps because you're terrified to drop it. Those are two different lives. The Buddha dismantles the grip. He leaves you the water. How many did you get? These three are the classic stumbles where most of the world's opinions about Buddhism quietly go wrong. 3 out of 3 means your foundations are excellent. Either way, the ground is now clear. Let's take the prescription apart, one word at a time. The Four Noble Truths: suffering, origin, cessation, path. Or in a doctor's language, symptom, cause, prognosis, prescription. We'll take one segment per word. First word, suffering, the doctor confirming, out loud, what actually hurts. Before we dig in, why 4? It's not a random number padded out to sound profound. Every good doctor who has ever lived runs exactly these 4 steps. Where does it hurt, the symptom? Why is it happening, the cause? Can it be cured, the prognosis? And how, the prescription? The Four Noble Truths aren't 4 commandments. They're a consultation. Your GP's brain will run this exact sequence at your next appointment. The Buddha splits suffering into 3 layers. Layer 1, plain pain, illness, injury, loss, no explanation needed. Layer 2, good things spoil, holidays end, compliments wear off, novelty has a shelf life. And Layer 3 sits underneath everything, and it's the deepest of the 3. One example per layer, all from a day you've probably had. You stub your toe, layer 1, honest, obvious pain. The ice cream is delicious and melting. It's day 5 of the holiday, and you've started thinking about your inbox, layer 2, good things going over. As for the layer lying underneath them all, pause here and guess. Deeper than pain, deeper than good things go bad. There's one more layer under the floorboards. What is it? A hint. It has to do with movement. Layer 3 is the restlessness itself, the engine that never idles. The moment you get this, you're reaching for that. The mind lives permanently at next, and never once actually sits down in the chair it fought for. It doesn't hurt, but it is exhausting. Do you recognize that particular tiredness? The most personal copy of Layer 3 you own is your thumb. Closing one app and opening the next, not because anything in it is good, but because stopping doesn't feel available. That little, is there one more? Motion is Layer 3 in modern dress. It never hurts you. It just quietly invoices you several hours a day. Let's catch it live. A tiny experiment right now. Pick any one object near you, a mug, a door handle, your own left hand. And, for 3 full seconds, let your attention rest on it. Just that, nothing else. Did you feel it? That faint itch that leaned toward the next thing before 3 seconds were even up? Congratulations, you've just met the 3rd layer in person. Now notice what the Buddha is not saying. He is not saying your life is bad. He's saying, even when everything is good, the machine ships with this vibration in it. It isn't your personal failure, it's the speck. And for a lot of people, just hearing that is the first exhale in years. Oh, it isn't only me. Here's a version many of us know. You finally pay off the house. You finally get the title on the door. Happy for how long, exactly? Soon enough, the mind has drifted to the next one. It's not that the house isn't good enough, it's that the engine that scans for the next square has never once been switched off. Layer 3 isn't a claim that your life is miserable. It's a claim that even inside good fortune, there's a background hum that never clocks off. So, Here's what the first word on the prescription actually does. It doesn't tell you to stop being happy. It lets you recognize the faint dissatisfaction inside the happiness. And once you can name it, you stop misdiagnosing it as, I'm just impossible to please, or I should be more grateful. It was never a character flaw. It's the shared spec of the human machine. Simply dropping the self-blame that alone loosens the whole thing considerably. First line of the chart written, symptom confirmed, no more pretending everything's fine. Which forces the second line, the question every doctor on earth must answer next. Why is this happening? Where does it come from? Second word, origin, literally, where the causes gather. And the Buddha's answer comes down to a single word, craving. In the old Pali language, tanha and tanha literally means thirst. Not wanting, thirst. The kind where I won't be okay until I get it. Origin, here, means a gathering many conditions converging into one result. Notice the Buddha doesn't scatter the blame across a dozen suspects. Your childhood, your boss, Mercury in retrograde. He narrows it to one core. And he is not saying every desire is a sin. He's saying, at the dead center of suffering sits that specific clench, no peace until it's mine. Craving has one signature feature. Drinking never quenches it. Because what it wants was never the thing, it's the hit of getting the thing. And that hit, as we established, depreciates on roughly a 3-week schedule. So the loop runs. Chase, get, fade, chase again. Be honest. How many laps have you done? Let's separate two things people constantly confuse. Need and craving. You're hungry, you eat, that's need. It stops when you're full. Craving is different. Craving wants a guarantee. The house must keep rising. The person must keep loving me. I must stay young. Note the word keep. Nothing in this world does keep. So craving is demanding a promise the world cannot issue, and that is exactly why the drinking never quenches. But a good doctor doesn't stop there. Where does craving come from? Were you simply born faulty, weak immune system, bad luck? Pause and think about it. The Buddha's answer is the single most important principle in all of Buddhism. It's called dependent origination. Watch this chain. Something meets your senses contact. Contact produces a feeling. Feeling hardens into craving. Craving becomes clinging. Clinging delivers suffering. Not one of those links appears out of nowhere. Each one is fed to you by the link before it. Run a real argument with your partner through the chain. One sentence of theirs lands in your ear contact, an instant sting feeling. Do they actually think that little of me? Craving for a reassurance. You grip that thought and won't put it down clinging, and you're angry for the rest of the evening suffering. The chain runs so fast you experience it as, they made me angry. But look again, every single link is a doorway. The 4 lines you're about to hear are the Buddha's own wording, preserved in one of the oldest collections of his talks, the Connected Discourses. Don't worry about understanding them yet. Listen for the rhythm. These 4 lines are the source code of the entire system. All 3 texts we'll read in this course grow out of them. When this exists, that comes to be. When this arises, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. When this ceases, that ceases. It sounds like a riddle, or a very stubborn tongue twister. It's actually the operating principle underneath everything. This exists, therefore that exists. This goes out, and that goes out by itself, with no further push. Nothing anywhere stands on its own, including, please note, your suffering. Here's the plainest version I can give you: a light switch and a bulb. Flip the switch off, and you don't have to climb up and smash the bulb. The light is simply gone. Your suffering runs on the same wiring. You don't have to defeat the entire world. You have to find the switch. And this is why the verse is good news. If suffering is grown by a chain, you don't need to fight the whole chain. Lift out one domino, and everything after it has nothing to fall against. That is the entire theoretical basis for curable. File dependent origination away carefully. Next lesson. The famous word emptiness runs on this exact engine. Let's also clear up a very common misreading. Dependent origination is not karma as cosmic punishment. It is not, you suffer now because you were wicked in a past life, so accept your lot. It's about conditions coolly itemizing which parts a situation is actually built from, an engineer's readout, not a moral verdict. And it faces forward. If it's built from conditions, then change the conditions, and you change the result. That's agency, the exact opposite of fatalism. If all this is starting to feel strangely familiar, it should. Modern cognitive therapy rests on the same observation. It isn't the event that wounds you, it's your thought about the event. 2,500 years earlier, the Buddha had already photographed the chain. Contact, feeling, thought, reaction, same links, same order. The difference? The Buddha pushes one question further. Is the me standing in the middle of the chain also something assembled? Hold that question. It is the front door of the next text, the Heart Sutra. One footnote. What I showed you is the pocket edition. The Buddha's full version of this chain has 12 links, and we'll walk the whole thing in the second half of the course, no rush. Today you only need to carry out one sentence. When this exists, that comes to be. Third word, cessation. The prognosis. Can this actually be cured? The Buddha's answer, yes. Suffering can end. Not be managed, end. It is the boldest line on the whole prescription, and the one the fewest people believe. Before we unpack it, one misunderstanding out of the way. The cure is not you becoming someone who wants nothing and loves nobody. It's this, the room you felt locked inside all this time, and the discovery that the door was never actually locked. The room doesn't change. The furniture doesn't change. What changes is that you now know you can leave. And separate cured from managed, because they look similar and are not. Many people assume Buddhism teaches endurance. Bite down, suppress it, act fine, wait for it to pass. It doesn't. Suppression is management, sitting on a fire while it keeps burning. What the Buddha means by cessation is, you don't grit your teeth against the thirst you see through it. You see, it cannot deliver the thing it promised, and at that point it loosens by itself. Endurance takes effort. Cessation takes insight. Quick question. The state where it has ended has a famous name, nirvana. What does the word nirvana originally mean? A paradise. B, a fire going out. C, death. 3, 2, 1. The answer is B, a fire going out. Not you being extinguished, the fire that was burning you, the fire of craving going out. The fire's out, the stove is still there, dinner still gets cooked, life carries on, it just stops boiling you alive. Let's be precise about nirvana, because no word collects more nonsense. It is not a heaven you go to after death, and it is not a void where nothing at all is left. The original image is exactly that humble, a flame blown out. When the craving fire stops burning, what remains isn't blankness, it's clarity. The world is all still here, you're just no longer looking at it through a wall of flame. Keep that phrase, fire's out, dinner still cooks. The end of suffering is not the end of love or ambition or life. You still adore people, still have goals, still get disappointed. You're just no longer being marched around by a fire that scorches everything it touches. Peace isn't 0 degrees. It's exactly warm enough. Now, you do not have to believe in completely curable today. The Buddha's own suggestion was, treat it as a hypothesis and trial the medicine. You don't need total faith in your doctor before taking the first pill. You take it, and your own body files the report. Does the trial require becoming a monk? Moving to a mountain? Owning fewer than 30 possessions? No. This course stands on one position from start to finish. These are technologies of mind, not a religious identity. You keep the job, the kids, the commute, the medicine is taken inside ordinary life, not by escaping it. The Buddha himself spent 45 years teaching, daily rounds, endless conversations, and running a community of thousands, no shortage of personnel headaches. The cure happens in the middle of life. So how do you run the trial? Pick the one thing you'll crave hardest this week. A like, a compliment, a win. Next time the thirst rises, don't feed it straight away. Just watch it. How strong is it, actually? How long before it fades on its own? You'll discover it retreats without you lifting a finger. One live observation of that is worth 10 lessons from me. Diagnosis, written. Cause, written. Prognosis, treatable. One line left on the prescription, and it's the most practical one. What exactly is the medicine? Fourth word, path. The prescription itself. And what the Buddha prescribes isn't one pill, it's a whole way of running your week, called the Eightfold Path. 8 items, covering everything from how you speak to how you earn a living. Don't memorize 8 things. Remember 3 groups. Wisdom, see clearly. Right view, right intention. Ethics, keep it clean. Right speech, right action. Right livelihood. Practice, train the mind. Right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. See clearly, keep it clean. Train the mind. 9 words, the entire prescription. Group by group. Group 1, wisdom. See clearly. Right view means seeing the situation as it actually is, not the horror film edit your fear produced overnight. Right intention is what happens next. Once you've seen clearly, which way does the thought move toward revenge or toward repair? This group is the steering wheel. Until the direction is right, everything else is just speed. Group 2, ethics. Keep it clean. This is not a rulebook of joyless don'ts. It's about not tipping more rubbish into your own mind. Right speech. No lying, no wounding, no hot air. Right action. Don't do things that leave a stain on you or on others. Right livelihood. Earn your living in a way that isn't at war with the rest of you. Because everything you say, do, and earn circles back eventually and feeds your own mind. So keep the diet clean. Group 3 practice. Train the mind. Right effort, not grinding yourself into powder, the just right tension. Yes, that's last lesson's loot string, reporting for duty. Right mindfulness, actually knowing what you're doing and where your mind has wandered off to, instead of sleepwalking through the day. Right concentration, a mind that can settle and doesn't scatter at the first notification. See clearly, keep it clean, train the mind, and that's all 8 accounted for. Practically speaking, the Eightfold Path is not 8 new chores bolted onto your calendar. It's a wipe down of the day you already have. You'll talk today anyway, right speech. Work anyway, right action, right livelihood. Think anyway, right view, right intention. Keep going anyway, right effort. The only difference is whether each of those is calibrated or drifting. Not 8 additions, the same day walked awake. Pause on this. Of the 8, first place doesn't go to meditation, and it doesn't go to diet. It goes to right view, seeing clearly. Why do you think that is? Because when the direction is wrong, effort takes you further away. If the boat is still tied to the pier, rowing harder achieves nothing but a sore back. Untie the rope first, then pull. And that's why this course teaches the texts before the techniques. It isn't theory worship, it's the prescription's own ordering. So the sequence carries the meaning: view first, force second. So much modern exhaustion is furious, rowing before the direction was ever set, and the more diligent you are, the further off course you end up. Right view sits at position 1 to remind you, untying comes before pulling. Remember the lute string from last lesson? Not too tight, not too slack. The Eightfold Path is the middle way in operational form, not mortifying yourself, not indulging yourself, but a road you can actually walk for a long time. And that word right is not a moral grade. It means calibrated the way you set a watch, brought back to true. One more pass on right, because it's so easy to misread. It is not righteous versus wicked. Nobody is scoring your soul. It's tuning, like tuning an instrument. No one scolds the string for drifting. You just bring it back to pitch. 8 rights means 8 places that drift and get retuned. It's a lifetime of small adjustments, not a single exam you pass once. What does the middle way look like today? On one side, grinding to collapse overtime until you're ill and calling it hustle. On the other, going numb, wanting nothing, trying nothing, and calling it freedom. Neither road goes far, and the middle way is not the lukewarm average of the two. It's the one pace you could hold for an entire life without breaking. No self-torture, no drift. All 4 words in place: suffering, origin, cessation, path. Diagnosis, cause, prognosis, prescription. Region 2 of the map walked, but hold on, before class ends. We need to hear the original words, and then do 2 things. The first time these 4 words were ever spoken aloud was in a deer park at Sarnath, in northern India, to an audience of 5. The transcript survives. It's called The Discourse on Setting the Wheel in Motion History's first Buddhist lesson. 4 lines follow, 1 per truth. And as you listen, notice, which of the 4 words do you need most today? This is suffering. It is to be understood. This is its origin. It is to be abandoned. This is its cessation. It is to be realized. This is the path. It is to be cultivated. Understood, abandoned, realized, cultivated. Every truth arrives with a verb attached. Buddhism is not a point of view, it's a to-do list. So, which word fits you most today? Tell me in the comments. Suffering, origin, cessation, or path. One word is enough, and there's no wrong answer. Stay with those 4 verbs a moment. From end to end, this is a tradition of doing not believing, not worshipping, testing. However beautifully the prescription is written, it does precisely nothing until you actually take the medicine. Exit quiz. 3 questions, quick fire. 1. The 4 noble truths in the doctor's 4 steps. Diagnosis, cause, prognosis, prescription. 2. The signature feature of craving? Drinking never quenches it, every wind appreciates. 3. Dependent origination. In one sentence, when this exists, that comes to be. Before you go, run one small real event through the whole prescription. Someone sniped at you this morning, and it stung suffering. It stung because you wanted a guarantee that your work gets seen origin. You recognize the clenched grip, and it loosens, just slightly the direction of cessation, and then you choose your reply, instead of detonating one path. 4 words, one small morning, working end to end. That is what makes it a prescription, rather than a poem. Here's what you now hold: a person, a prescription, and the skeleton of the whole route. And one live question, ticking quietly. Today you learned that everything is built from conditions. So is there anything, anywhere, that is just itself? Next lesson, we open the first dose of medicine, the Heart Sutra, 260 characters, and the single most misread word in all of Buddhism, emptiness. This week's experiment follows the first verb, to be understood. You don't change anything, you only record. Every time that something's off, feeling surfaces the unnameable little pinch of dissatisfaction. Open your phone and type one word, dukkha. You'll likely be the only person in your contacts with that word in their notes. Wear it proudly. 7 days from now, you'll have a list, and that list is your personal, custom-fitted edition of the First Noble Truth. And here's why the experiment is record-only, no fixing. Step 1 is to be understood, seeing, not immediately reaching in to repair. The harder you rush to delete the discomfort, the more you've added one more layer of craving on top, the craving to not feel it, which feeds the very thing you're deleting. So this week, do nothing about it. Just recognize it. Seen clearly enough, it's already half undone. If you're walking on, subscribe and turn on notifications. Next lesson is the Heart Sutra, Part 1. Why emptiness does not mean what you think it means. And tell me in the comments which of the 4 truths you'll be testing first. This is Dharma Decoded. Thank you for picking up your first prescription today.